So we're going to look at number 1 from the CBA, from the 8th grade STAAR CBA, okay? This one was a very commonly missed problem, like one of the most commonly missed problems, and it's probably because maybe you were never taught what all of these mean. In which set of numbers does square root 20 belong? When you plug square root 20 into your calculator, do you get like a nice pretty decimal that has an end to it? No. You get an ugly decimal that doesn't repeat and doesn't have an end. Okay? So, let's talk about the name of all of these. A whole number. You know what a whole number is. A whole number is actually almost the same as an integer. So, whole numbers and integers have no decimal places. Okay? An integer is like 5, 10, 20, 398, negative 5, negative 10. Okay, you get the idea. A whole number is actually an integer greater than 0, I think, and an integer is either a positive or negative whole number. Okay, now a rational number. Rational numbers are like 4/3, 9/10, 1/2. Rational numbers are any numbers that you can put into fraction form. Even if it's an ugly repeating decimal, that is still a rational number. Now, irrational numbers are like square root of 20, or pi, or e, or square root of 99, okay? Those are irrational numbers. Real numbers, everything you've ever seen is a real number. Something that's not real would be like like the square root of negative 1. When you do the square root of negative 1, it gives you an error. So that number is not real. It's imaginary. But anyways, you didn't need to know that. So what is the answer to number 1? It is irrational, but it's a real number. It's not imaginary. The square root of 20 is irrational, but it's real. Okay? All right, the next commonly missed one was actually number 2. Scroll down a little bit. Which table below has a rate of change of negative 7? Rate of change is another word for slope. It's delta y over delta x. Okay? The answer is actually A, and let's talk about why the answer is A. So what you do is you find delta y, negative 14, negative 21, negative 7. Oh, sorry, 14. Then you do delta x. 2, 3, 2. Then you do delta y over delta x. Negative 7. Do the next one. Delta y over delta x. Negative 7. Do the next one. Delta y over delta x. Negative 7. It equaled negative 7 every time. So that's why number 2, the answer is A. Rate of change means slope. Number 13 was another commonly missed one. The graph shows the relationship between the height of the tomato plant and the number of days it has been growing. Which of the following statements, look, they capitalized the word not for you. Which one is not true about the relationship? Okay, so the first one says the relationship is non-proportional. But when it's a straight line like that, when it's linear, and it goes through 0, 0, then it is proportional. It is. So this is actually not true, but let's talk about why all the other ones are true. The rate of change is 2.5. 2.5 is 5 halves. So let's see if it goes up 1 over 2. Sorry, up 5 over 2. Up 5 over 2. Up 5 over 2. Okay, so B is true. When I'm given these not problems, I go to each one, and I put an X by it if I think it's false, and I put a check by it if I think it's true. And then that way I know just to choose the one that doesn't look like the other ones. The slope is 5 halves. Well, that's the same as 2.5. That's a check. The relationship is linear. You know that that's a line. So even if you didn't know what non-proportional meant, you should have chosen A because B, C, and D are all very, very true. Linda is trying to walk 10,000 steps. Oh, I try to walk 10,000 steps every day. There's my little tracker. Okay. She walks at a rate of 125 steps per minute. Which of the following represents, this is key, which of the following represents the remaining number of steps she needs to walk? So when she's walked 0 steps, how many steps are remaining? 10,000. So you better choose a graph that starts at 10,000. A is now out and C is now out. Well, actually, this one starts at 10,000, but she's going up to 20,000, and that one doesn't make sense. So now we've narrowed it down to B or D. Notice that we're walking 125 steps per minute, so it should go down 125 over 1. Down 125 over 1. And this one actually goes down 1,250 over 10. They cancel, and the slope of B, the slope of this one, is 125 over 1. Because if you notice, when you go down to 8,750, and you go over 10. So the slope is correct on B, and that's why B is right and D is not. The slope on D is wrong. Okay, next one is 24. Here's that word proportional again. That's showing up a lot, I'm noticing. Which of the following represents a proportional relationship? A proportion is when you have something like this, or when you have something like this. Think of a proportion as something that you can cross multiply. It's a proportional relationship means ratio equals ratio. It has to be like a fraction. A is to B as C is to D. That is a proportional relationship. So when you add in this plus 2, that turns it into not a proportional relationship anymore. It has to have a slope-intercept of 0 is how you can kind of think of it. So B is not going to be proportional either, because notice it doesn't go through 0. It's linear, B is linear, but it's not proportional. Proportional relationship can't have plus something, and B does. The y-intercept is not 0. Ooh, so now we have to deal with C and D. I'm going to go ahead and save you all the work. The formula for this one, when I did the table building thing, is y equals 1/3 x plus 0. Ooh, that's good news. And this one ends up being y equals x minus 2. So that's the formula I got when I did delta y over delta x and found the formula. So the correct answer is C, because C is y equals 1/3 x. It's not plus anything. The y-intercept is 0. That's a proportional relationship. Y equals x over 3. And whereas D has a minus 2, and that's what ruins it for D. I hope I'm explaining these okay. This one's fun. Y'all can't see that. Okay. Zoom in a little bit. Can you read it a little bit better? Oh, that's better. Okay. Audrey needs to hire a photographer to take pictures. Andrew charges a setup fee of $100 and $135 an hour. Patrick setup fee of $40 and $150 an hour. Which of the following could be answered using the inequality below? Okay, so let's look at this inequality. 135H plus 100. That is Andrew. That is totally Andy. Okay, so the other one would be Patrick. So that's saying Andrew is charging less than Patrick. Andrew less than Patrick. How many hours should Andrew work to earn more money than Patrick? Does that sound right? More? No. B, how many hours should Andrew work to earn less money than Patrick? That is A less than P. So the answer was B. So we need to know where our less than signs are. The sign is going to eat the bigger one. So it's eating Patrick. So Patrick is the greater of the two. Andrew is the lesser of the two. Okay. Next one, commonly missed, was number 29. On scroll bar. Here we go. Oh my gosh, look at this word again. Proportional. So now we know what it means to be a proportion. We're going to cross A off already because it has a -5. We're going to cross B off already because it's not going through 0, 0. we are going to cross C off, because do you see the word plus? It is 10 cents a mile. Y equals 10 cents a mile plus 18. This is what's bad. So I'm not even going to work in the table. I'm not even going to do D because it's the only one left. Okay? 31, you're going to need to use your calculator. I don't know what else to tell you on 31. Putting the numbers in order from greatest to least. So all I would do is I would just rewrite that list, or right under it I would write what they each equal. This is 3.14. This is 0.6. Ooh, negative. Negative root 13 is negative 3.6. And the rest are good. Okay, so we're going greatest to least. So which number is the greatest? Pi is the greatest. So this answer choice is gone. What number comes next? Positive 3 comes next. So this answer choice is gone. And then the only difference in the last two are these two. Which one is smaller? Is negative 3.8 smaller, or is negative 3.6 smaller? That's the 13. Well, the negative 3.8 is smaller, so we want that one to be listed last. So that one was B. Next one is 36. Which of the following set of ordered pairs represents a function? A function is when there's one y value for every x value. There's one y for every x, not two different y's, one y for every x. So you could look at the ordered pairs, or you could also plot the points. You could plot the points, and you could do the vertical line test. Were y'all ever taught the vertical line test? If I slide a vertical line across and I'm ever touching 2 points at once, then it's not a function. See how I'm touching 2 points at once? Isn't this fun? I can just draw a line and slide it. Okay, anyways, I'm touching 2 points at once. So this would not be a function. Those dots would not be a functional relationship. It'll be dysfunctional. Okay, so this one, what was the answer? The answer was A on this one. Because we've got one y for every x. We can plot 0, 0. We can plot 1, 2. And we can plot 2, 2. So if I did the vertical line test, I would hit every dot at a different time. So each x value has a different y. Number 44. We have dilated this rectangle, and it started as A, B, C, D, and then it ended up as A prime, B prime, C prime. The first thing that you should do is figure out if it got bigger or smaller. Did the triangle, no, did this rectangle get bigger or smaller? It got larger. So if we look at our answer choices, If we look at our answer choices, it got larger. Now it can only be A or B. Because the other one, a fraction would mean it's getting smaller. And then you just count the points, the coordinates. You just look at the coordinates. And let's see. A is at 1, 1. And A prime is at 3, 3. So that's why the answer is 3. But it's not 1/3. I bet y'all chose 1/3. 51. Let's see. With the origin as the center of dilation, it'll be dilated by a scale factor of 1/2. What happens to the area? This was today's lesson. Oh my gosh. So if you increase the sides by 1/2, what happens to the area? Square it. 1/4. And if you wanted to actually plot it and then find the area, you could, but we learned this today in geometry. Okay? So you square it. 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 2. You're going from 1D to 2D, sorry. From side to area. So you're halving the length and you're halving the width. Number 55, the graph below shows the number of hours a student spends watching television and the student's current grade in geography. Which of the following is the most likely prediction of the student's grade if the student watches 30 hours of television? So we want to know where the dots land when we're here. I haven't worked this problem yet, but I'm guessing you just follow the line, the general trend. You just kind of draw a line where the trend is, and then it looks like it's going to be about here. And so the grade is going to be closer, in my graph, it's closer to 60 than 70. It doesn't land at 65, it lands closer to 60. Use the edge of your booklet, if you have one like this, use the edge and follow the dots using a straight line, because if you try to draw it freehand, your line might stray a little bit. So you need to use a straight edge. Yes, Victor, but you can't just use two of the points. You're using the trend of the points.